So about 3 weeks ago, I officially got my Switch 2 pre-order from Walmart, and I made a whole video detailing how that story went down. And now I'm here to tell you, I canceled my pre-order. Walmart will no longer be delivering me my Nintendo Switch 2. I decided against using Walmart to get my Switch 2 for this reason. But before we dive into that, make sure you like and subscribe to today's video if you enjoy the content. Please click the notification bell to know exactly when my videos release, and consider joining my membership program to make sure you don't miss a single one of my early videos. So let me take you back a little bit, okay? Back to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. That day, all of the pre-order information goes live. Okay, it's going to be coming within the next couple of weeks. I forget whatever the specific day they had announced was, but all along, May 8th was the day in which they said, we're going to give you My Nintendo pre-orders. They didn't announce any of this in the Direct. You had to find it out through other means, and so I found out you had to register your interest for either the Mario Kart bundle or the regular Nintendo Switch 2, then they would email you on May 8th, and then you would be able to go online to the My Nintendo store and get your pre-order directly from Nintendo. Well then, all the crap hit the fan with the tariff situation, and Nintendo decided, yeah, let's hold off a little bit. We're not going to delay our launch date, but we're going to delay the pre-orders a little bit. We just need to see how much these tariffs are actually going to impact the overall economy, so we can adjust for inflation and all of these different prices that may potentially end up hitting that bottom line. So Nintendo came back after a week or two, and they said, okay, we're not raising the price of our games, and we're not raising the price of our consoles, but all of the other accessories are going to be raised by either $5 to $10. Most of them were just $5, which, you know what? All the stuff was already kind of expensive, and if you were going to get any of this, $5 extra isn't that big of a deal in my opinion. So they went ahead with that, and so did all of the other retailers. Walmart, Best Buy, and Target all went live on the exact same night, and it was chaos. People were getting stuff completely out of whack, like they were getting it, and then the Target would say, nope, sorry, you're done, we're not giving it to you, it's canceled, my bad. Walmart would get it to you, and then Best Buy wouldn't, and then Best Buy would, and it was chaos, utter chaos. In the year 2025, we cannot get a pre-order or a website to function properly. And since I am in the Eastern time zone of the United States, I had to go to bed for work in the morning because it was midnight in which those things went live, so I just couldn't even stay up. I just wasn't able to do that because I would have been miserable the next day, and it just wasn't worth it to me to do that. So then the next morning, GameStop went live at 11 o'clock, all by themselves. No other retailers went live at the same time. It was just them, probably the smallest company out of all those three, went live all by themselves. It crashed, it was terrible, I couldn't get anything, it was awful. So then, a couple of days later, I just so happened to see Walmart went live. Jake Randall was able to help me get my pre-order from Walmart, and the cool thing about it, and the thing that I still kind of regret from canceling my pre-order because I don't know how this is going to work out, is that Walmart guarantees a 9 a.m. delivery time. How can they do that? Well, if you have a grocery bag icon next to your Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order, that means that it is not going to be shipped to you from a different factory or different locations across the country. It means that your local store, the one near you, that the app or the website was able to trace through your address, then is able to deliver it to you as if it was just delivering groceries, which makes it so much easier for them to get it to you on time and be able to promise that 9 a.m. delivery. That was what I was really looking forward to. I pre-ordered the Pro Controller and the Nintendo Switch console without the Mario Kart bundle from Walmart the second I saw it, and it worked. It was great. But the whole time, right, I had also registered my interest for the My Nintendo store because I just wanted to make sure, regardless of any pre-order situations that went down with these retailers, that I would have a backup plan. So I wasn't even thinking about it. As the day was approaching, May 8th, I was like, I don't know, I'll probably just let it go, right? So then I get my email on May 8th, and I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting. A lot of these things went out, and I'm looking on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying that they did get it, but a lot of people were also saying they did not get their email. Now, I know for a fact I was one of the very first people to register my interest for this because it was simply 5 minutes after the Direct that I saw that it was a possibility, and I know a lot of people missed it because Nintendo so poorly communicated with us and didn't tell us that was a way we could get a pre-order. So they just didn't tell us ahead of time that this was going to happen, and I was one of the first to do it before it hit mainstream. Well, when I ordered my stuff from Walmart, when I pre-ordered my Switch, I wasn't able to get the Mario Kart bundle, and that's about a $30 difference, and I don't really care about the physical versus digital aspect of this, so I was just planning, once I get my Switch 2, to digitally buy it from the store. But then I was thinking, what if the store crashes? What if the servers are overloaded and I just can't even play my game? What am I gonna do then? And I also just wanted to have the Mario Kart World bundle, right? So I'm thinking, wait a minute. I look at my email, and I registered my interest for Mario Kart World Bundle, so I go to the website and I'm just kind of like sifting through. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Everyone else must have gotten emails right now, and yet the website isn't crashing. It's working perfectly. Nice little effects here and there. I could get my Switch 2. I could get my bundle. I could get everything I wanted. They had games. They had amiibo. They had accessories. They had everything you could ever want, and it worked flawlessly. So I'm just kind of clicking around, right? And I'm like, no, I already bought my Switch 2. I'm not going to buy it again. But you know what? It's pretty easy for me to just click on these accessories right now and get them too. I wasn't planning on getting the camera or a case straight away, so maybe I'll just leave it alone and buy all these other things, right? So I put the camera in my cart, I put the case in my cart, I buy all the amiibo, I put it in the cart, I go to the checkout, and I'm trying to give Nintendo my money, and they say no. You can't buy any of this without buying a Switch 2. And I've not heard anyone talk about this yet, and I mean, why would they, right? Because if you went to that website, you probably were there to buy a Switch 2, but it didn't let you do it. It didn't let me buy anything else unless I already bought the Switch 2 through them. So I went back and I was like, am I really about to do this right now? Am I really about to do this? So I go to my Walmart app and I look at the pre-order, and it's still sitting there with the grocery bag icon right next to it. And I know I'm going to get my Switch 2 at 9 a.m. Then I go back to my Switch 2 website here on the My Nintendo store, and it says, we can't guarantee delivery of the day on the same day of release. We can't guarantee it. And I'm like, am I really about to risk getting my Switch 2 day one simply so I can say I got the Mario Kart World Bundle and to save $30? Yeah, I think I will. So after like 30 minutes of analysis paralysis and pondering and trying to buy accessories, and they wouldn't let me buy accessories, I bought a Switch 2 with the Mario Kart World Bundle, and I got my refund from Walmart immediately. I made sure I checked that beforehand. I canceled it, and yeah, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to wait. If it takes that long, if it takes a day or two, that's going to be awful because I really want to make videos day one. But it's just going to have to be what it is, right? I'm just going to have to do what I got to do. So I'm going to wait until Nintendo ships it to me, and I have no clue when that is going to be. But another reason that I also decided to go ahead with this is that I feel like Nintendo might be keeping track of how many people registered for interest but then decided not to buy, because that kind of seems like something they would account going forward, and I really didn't want to be stuck in a position where moving forward they do something similar with like exclusive amiibo or exclusive games or collector's editions that I might be interested in, and they're like, okay, we're not going to do this through retailers, we're just going to do this exclusively through us, so register your interest. And I don't want to register my interest and for them to think internally or send me an email saying, yo, you did this before and you didn't come through. You didn't pull through. You didn't buy. You didn't keep up your end of the bargain. So why would we send you a first dib of this stuff if we don't even have proof from the past? And I know Walmart's got their... Walmart doesn't care if I cancel or not. They got my back regardless. Walmart does not care. I feel like Nintendo somehow, some way would care. They would just take a little mental note and they would put it in the back of their head and say, yep, Ray from Ray's Nintendo Talk, that brother does not. He does not follow through with his register for interest, and his interest, he registers it all right, but it ain't there. So I'm like kind of writhing a little bit inside because it is more money. It's like, it's a difference between $449 to $500, and I already paid money for the Pro Controller. So I'm looking at these accessories. I'm like, what do I want? Do I really need a camera right now? Do I really want to pay $55 for a camera in which it just came out? Nintendo has the right to record us whenever they want. I don't think I care much about that. I'm not going to be playing this thing with many of my friends online. And the tariffs really hit Amiibo hard, especially. That hurt for me because I have collected so many Amiibo, especially Zelda ones, and especially ones that I just care about in general, and I really love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So to see those Champion Amiibo be $30 a piece, for that to be $120 for 4 Amiibo, man, I miss the old days. I mean, they used to be $13.99 a pop, $12.99 a pop. And of course, the quality has increased, and I'm very thankful for that, but the difference between $52 back in the day for now $120 for the same amount of Amiibo, and for them to not even be that cool, and for me not to really actually use them in game, and then for just them to sit on my shelf, it's not worth it anymore for me, unfortunately. And maybe if they do one-offs, like if they do a 1 or 2, maybe I'll do it, and maybe if I see one in the store, I'll get them slowly, but not at the same time. That's just too much money for hunks of plastic. So I bought my Switch 2 with the Mario Kart World Bundle. I'll have it no matter what happens. If the store goes down, I'll be good. It will already be pre-installed on my console and I can play it all to my heart's content. Then I also bought the case for like 40 bucks, because why not, right? I mean, if I'm going to be taking my $500 console with my game somewhere, I think I'm going to try to keep it as protected as possible, especially considering Nintendo has been really, really good with their quality of life and just quality of hardware. But especially in the Switch era, that has gone down quite a bit. So I just want to make sure, even though I do think the Switch 2 will be very sturdy and they've had a lot of time to bulletproof this thing, I do want to be as careful as possible with it, so it's not my fault if something happens. So I canceled my Switch 2 pre-order so that I could get a My Nintendo Store pre-order to get the Mario Kart World Bundle along with the console itself. Not just the console, because I didn't want to spend 30 extra bucks. I ended up saving money in the long run, and you know what? Maybe someday I will use those 30 bucks to get one of those amiibo. So that is the end of my story, but wait a minute, where are you going? Sit down, go grab some popcorn or something. We ain't done yet, because now it is time. I am combining 2 video ideas into one, because the financial report also came out last week on May 8th from Nintendo, and I am very, very happy to cover these things, but those videos tend not to do so well, so I just wanted to give someone an option to either say, I'm good, I don't care about this stuff, but also enjoy my content to some extent. So we're going to start right now with some very, very shocking news. The Switch did not do as well as anyone had really anticipated it to do. It had the worst first quarter to date for the entire lifespan of the console. It still hit over 1 million copies, 1.2 million the Switch sold in the last quarter, but a lot of this has to do with the Switch 2 and just the hype that console has garnered ever since the month of January. January was when they had that first teaser trailer and it was just revealed to us. Then they hyped us up for that direct in April and everything in between. It makes sense as to why it didn't sell as well. Now, moving forward, I'm going to be interested to see how quarter 2 does treat the Nintendo Switch, because a lot of the price debacle around the Switch 2 makes me wonder if people who are Nintendo fans and just didn't get a Switch yet are deciding, you know what, I'm not going to get a Switch 2. I'm just going to go and buy a Switch Lite for $180 from Walmart and then go buy a bunch of old games on sale from Black Friday or whatever. A lot of times, and I don't know why this is, it just seems to be the popular decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to buy the new thing, I'm going to buy the old thing and then play all that. I don't know why, but a lot of people tend to do that. So I would be interested to see how the Switch performs in quarter 2. And now with all of these numbers combined, we can see the Nintendo Switch sold 152 million units within its whole lifespan. I, for whatever reason, was just like completely and totally convinced that this quarter would push it over the top and it would be the best-selling Nintendo console ever, passing the DS at 154 million units. I don't know why. Maybe I think in my brain I was still thinking that we were waiting for quarter 4, and quarter 4 always does a little bit better. But no, it was quarter 1, Ray. It was quarter 1. That's why this did not sell as well as we could have expected. And so honestly, the Switch will probably pass the DS within the next year or two. But if we are always saying, you know, this is the year it does it, I don't know if that's going to be entirely true. It'll be interesting to see what happens after the Switch 2 releases, if all of the hype just goes straight towards that, which I'm sure it will, but how will the Switch handle its end of life? Will it be pretty graceful, or will it just take a complete and total nosedive? We'll see. I hope it passes the DS. I hope it becomes the best-selling console of all time, passing the PlayStation 2, I believe, at 160 million units, because, of course, they had to bump that number up from 155 because the Switch was about to pass it. But, you know, we'll see. It might even pass the PS2. Oh, now it's time to look at Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, our old frenemy, if you will. This game was marketed to death. It was so oversaturated, especially considering it released within the time frame right before the Nintendo Switch 2 was revealed. The day it released was the day the Switch 2 hype began, and it feels as though that marked the end of the Switch 1's hype. And so a lot of people could not have cared less about this game regardless, because in a lot of areas, it just didn't look like that good of an HD game. And you know what? I enjoyed it. I played it, I reviewed it. You can go check out my review. It was a fine game, and I am glad it is on the console. But man, oh man, was it very lackluster in a lot of ways for a lot of people. But you know what? That just means the Nintendo Switch has just one more game that crossed the 1 million mark, and that is just insane to me, right? Because you look at the Wii days, and there are so many amazing games on the Wii, but not a lot that appealed to the mass audience that console had, because a lot of those fans were just super casual non-gamers that didn't truly care about Nintendo, but only cared about the novelty of the Wii. And so a brand new Zelda game of all franchises only sold about 3 million units, Skyward Sword did, on the Wii alone, and that is just kind of pathetic now that we look in the Switch era, and Breath of the Wild sold over 30 million, and Tears of the Kingdom over 25 million, or whatever that's sitting at now. Both games broke barriers for the series, and obviously Twilight Princess was a huge success prior to Skyward Sword, so it just seemed even more upsetting for Nintendo to barely be able to hit 3 million in one of their biggest and best franchises. Now that we look at Donkey Kong, a game that people couldn't have cared less about, it still sold over 1 million units. So let's remember that. Let's remember how amazing the Switch is and how the Switch Effect truly was able to make this console better and all of the games sell well. Then we've got Mario Party Jamboree. It's so clear to me now why Nintendo decided this was the game, the Mario Party game they really wanted to put on Switch 2 with that Jamboree Plus Jamboree TV Switch 2 edition. This game sold over 1.3 million units during this quarter alone. Let that sink in for a minute. 1.3 million units. It outsold the Donkey Kong brand new game that had been on the console for the first time in its lifespan, the brand new game, and also outsold the Nintendo Switch itself. The entirety of the console's sales numbers within this quarter, Jamboree was able to outsell all on its own. Mario Party is extremely popular. This is a great game for casual and hardcore gamers alike, and I'm excited to see what they can do with that Switch 2 edition and how much better it is going to look on that console. It's just impressive. I clap it up for Nintendo, and I clap it up for this game. They made a phenomenal Mario Party game, and I didn't know if they had it in them because it had been such a long time since they had. So yeah, I'm glad for Mario Party. Okay, I've got a lot to say here about 3 Mario games in a row. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is now over 2.1 million units. It sold just 40,000 copies in the last 3 months, and I will not be surprised if we never see this game pop up on another financial report. It's just not selling as well as many people would have hoped. A lot of Paper Mario fans claim this to be the best. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it more than I cared for Origami King, to be honest. I like both games about equally, but maybe that's just a me thing because I'm not a huge Paper Mario fan. But just, you know what? Glad to see it over 2 million. That's pretty impressive. The Luigi's Mansion 2 HD shipped 80,000 units in this quarter. It is now sitting at 1.8 million units, trailing behind the 3DS because that game alone sold a lot more than this, and I am just a little upset at Nintendo for how they decided to handle this game and for how poorly it ended up selling. That ended up being entirely their fault in my opinion, and I really hope it doesn't affect the sales or the masterminds behind Luigi's Mansion 4, because that game is going to be incredible, and everyone knows 3 was a masterpiece. I made a whole video about that as well. It is a masterpiece of a game, so I really, really hope Luigi's Mansion 4 is around the corner and they give it a fair shot. Now for our third Mario game here I need to cover, Super Mario Bros. Wonder did a phenomenal job continuing to sell as well as it has over the past couple of years. 500,000 units in 3 months. It is over 16 million units now. Congratulations to Mario Wonder. 2D Mario games have always done well, but this game, man, this game is different. It's so creative. It's so wonderful. It's so much fun, and it really, really makes me feel like Nintendo is truly back in a lot of different ways from the Wii U era, from the 3DS era. Just little things that are here and there that might give some people pause moving into the Switch 2 generation. Just look at Mario Wonder. Look at how they are continuing to develop these games and how amazing they are. In my most recent video talking about which Switch 2 editions from the Nintendo Switch games library I think is going to come over, I think Mario Wonder is one of the prime candidates, if not the prime candidate, to get a Switch 2 edition with a bunch of new content and playable characters. This game is gorgeous, it can look even better, and I think giving it another life on the Switch 2, giving it a big audience, a big spotlight, would really, really do it a lot of favors for history books. For us to look back on this game and say, yeah, that was when it all changed for 2D Mario. That was when Nintendo decided we're going to be different. And that is so exciting to me. I'm pretty sure in every single one of these videos I've done so far, covering this channel, covering these financial reports, Tears of the Kingdom has made an appearance. I'm just always so fascinated at what these numbers tell me. Tears of the Kingdom, now over 21 million copies worldwide. Congratulations to an amazing 3D Zelda game. Over 180,000 units were sold this quarter for this game. And here's an interesting statistic Pierre485 points out. More than 57% of the entirety of the 3D Zelda games have ever been sold were sold on the Nintendo Switch. 57%. That is insane. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom truly brought this series into a new era. And that could be a whole video in and of itself. The future of Zelda, what are they going to do moving forward with the Switch 2 and its graphical capabilities? It's been a couple years since we've seen this game, and if it takes, 5-7 years to make these games now from the ground up, we could see it as soon as 2026, and that is very, very exciting. Two games that always shock and then disgust me. Disgust first, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe sold 18 million units in its lifespan, 2 million more than Wonder, and I don't know, it just feels gross. I know it was on the Switch longer, it's been there since 2019, and Wonder still hasn't passed this game in sales, and I wonder if it ever will. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Then, of course, Nintendo Switch Sports continuing to be the anomaly that it is. 530,000 units shipped in the first quarter of 2025, over 16 million units to date. That is crazy. It's always just shocking to me to see how well this game has sold. So congratulations to Switch Sports. Let's see what you got for the Switch 2, Nintendo. What you gonna cook up for us in the sports department? So as always, it's time to look at the big picture. The Nintendo Switch now has a ridiculous, unfathomable 73 games that sold over 1 million units. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is one of those games now. That was what I was talking about earlier. It's just an unfathomable amount and really testifies how insane of a success this console was. And continuing on, even in such a crazy quarter in which no one cared about the Switch itself, everyone talked about the Switch 2, they still, Nintendo did, distribute 31.43 million Switch games this quarter. That is insane. It is insane. They've sold over 1.3 billion games on their platform. Holy crap, that's a lot of money, a lot of games. People are loving this console. They continue to play and buy and play and buy. That is the install base Nintendo is so proud of, the user base that cares about their console and continues to play 8 years in on this lifespan. 8 years! We're still buying and playing, and we are looking forward to the Switch 2, and so is Nintendo. Here is their chart of games that they have announced that are coming up soon. Mario Kart World in June. Donkey Kong Bonanza in July, Dragon Drive coming in the summer, Pokemon Legends ZA on both platforms as a Switch 2 edition and on the Nintendo Switch 1 just as a regular game, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity for the Switch 2, Kirby Air Riders for the Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on both consoles. Then, looking further into the future, we have Rhythm Heaven Groove and Tomodachi Life Living the Dream slated for 2026. Both games were announced for the Nintendo Switch and will likely also have Switch 2 editions or free upgrades to get people caring and buying when those games do come out. But this is a pretty great sign for Switch owners who really don't want to buy a Switch 2 yet or don't have the money to do that, and they're just saving up and they want to keep it for another year or two before they decide to splurge on the Switch 2. And it really shows how much Nintendo is not going to abandon the Switch right away. At least right away. The Switch 2 will probably have a very, very fast-selling first year, and I think that will encourage Nintendo to want to try and just leave it alone and only go on to the Switch 2. But I think they've known from the past, especially with the Switch 1, that second year is really where they need to make sure the Switch 2 continues strong. So they're going to get a lot of first-party titles there and also make sure that the Switch 1 is being supported. So that way both parties aren't mad, both parties get a little bit of something, and both parties get the benefit. So that was all I had for you today. Thank you for listening to my story about how I canceled my Switch 2 pre-order and for sticking it out to the end to see the financial report results. Thank you once more for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Click that notification bell to know exactly when my videos upload, and consider joining my membership program so that way you can support me as a content creator and the channel at large and get early access to all of my videos. Click on the left side of your screen to see all of my predictions for the Switch 2 edition games, and click on the right side of the screen to see my playlist of every single game I have ever reviewed. Thank you so much once more. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a phenomenal day.